the Megalodon. This prehistoric giant was the largest shark to ever roam the planet. Scientists believe it was much bigger and bulkier than today's great white sharks, but with only 5% of the world's oceans explored, could it still be lurking in the deep, dark waters? From a recent Megalodon encounter to a case of one devouring a great white shark, here are 10 sightings of the Megalodon that may prove it still exists. Number 10. The Megalodon that ate a great white shark. Back in 2014, Australian researchers started hunting for what they called the mystery sea monster that apparently ate a 9-foot-long great white shark. This great white shark had a tracking device that was put on it in order to track its behavior and find out where the shark swam and where it fed. Turns out, instead of finding out what the great white shark was eating, something else decided to eat the great white shark. The tracking device that was planted on the shark was found washed up on the beach. After doing an analysis on the tracking device, data showed that it had suddenly undergone a rapid increase in temperature and that it took a swift 500-meter dive beneath the ocean. Of course, the scientists attributed the 30-degree spike in temperature from the shark actually entering another animal's stomach or digestive system, if you will. The unexpected and swift descent of the tracking device could be explained by the larger animal's rapid descent beneath the waves. The scientists ended up finding the tracking device and only the tracking device about 2.5 miles from where the shark was originally tagged. When the data first came back from the tag, researchers were absolutely blown away by what they were seeing. Of course, the big question was what could have done this? It was obvious that the animal was eaten, but we're talking about a 9-foot or 3-meter great white shark that weighed well over 1,500 pounds. When you think about what could possibly eat a 9-foot great white shark, the only thing that comes to mind is a much bigger shark. It was estimated that a shark would have to weigh at least 2 tons in order to eat the smaller 9-foot shark. This countable and colossal great white shark is likely living somewhere in the depths of the ocean. And who's to say it couldn't be the legendary Megalodon? These creatures were huge and probably lived in the deeper parts of the ocean. Could it be that they still exist and are hiding in places such as the Mariana Trench? Perhaps in due time, we'll find out if this creature still exists once we're able to explore more of the oceans. Number 9. Tiger shark thief. As we talked about earlier in the video, tiger sharks are one of the 3 known sharks that'll attack a human. But what wasn't previously known is that these sharks can end up being potential thieves of high-tech equipment, namely your video camera. Some divers were on holiday in the Bahamas and looked like they were too close to a group of tiger sharks when one of the sharks decides he's had enough of the filming and proceeds to take away one of the diver's video cameras. In the footage, you can see the tiger shark as it approaches the diver holding the camera. The large tiger shark swims right towards the diver and goes to bite the camera. Thinking that the shark will probably let go of the camera, the diver holds on to his expensive equipment. What makes this even more fascinating is that tiger sharks are known for their curiosity, often investigating objects in their environment by biting them. The diver later explained that the shark's approach was so sudden that he barely had time to react before the camera was in the shark's mouth. Other divers in the group could be seen backing away cautiously, aware that the situation could escalate quickly. Tiger sharks are notorious for their strong jaws, and once they latch onto something, it can be nearly impossible to retrieve it. The diver's grip on the camera was firm, but the shark's strength was overwhelming, and it became clear that the equipment was not going to be recovered easily. At one point, the shark thrashed its head violently, creating a cloud of bubbles and startling the other divers. The group later joked that the shark might have been trying to make its own underwater documentary. Interestingly, tiger sharks have been found with all sorts of strange items in their stomachs, including license plates, tires, and even pieces of metal, which explains why the camera might have seemed like a snack. The incident highlights the unpredictable nature of these creatures and the importance of maintaining a safe distance when observing them in the wild. Despite the loss of the camera, the divers were relieved that no one was injured during the encounter. As the shark continues to swim away, it is at this moment that the situation probably became a bit scary as there are other sharks around, and it looks as though a tiger shark is a hold of one of the divers. The shark can be seen chewing on the camera, and at this point, the photographer is trying to pull the camera free, but surprisingly, the shark does not let go of the camera. The shark then spins around and wrestles the camera from the diver's hands and calmly swims off with it, still in its mouth. It would seem that even at this point, the shark would probably drop the camera, but the shark keeps the camera in its mouth and continues to swim away, showing that tiger sharks are awesome thieves. However, what you might not know is that tiger sharks are a unique species of shark that are known for their really bizarre eating habits in which they are known to eat edible man-made objects, and in this case, including expensive cameras. Number 8. Huge shark breaks into cage with divers. If that last piece of footage of the giant massive deep blue shark didn't scare you just because the guy was in a cage, then this next video will surely bring some excitement into your life and maybe make you think twice about going on a cage diving experience of your own. In October of 2016, footage of an incident with a diver and a shark took place near Guadalupe Island off the west coast of Mexico. At the beginning of the video, people on the boat are seen baiting a fairly big shark, which turns aggressive as it naturally would. Sharks are known to go into what's called a feeding frenzy when they start eating. In fact, this feeding frenzy is so aggressive that the sharks go blind and are unable to see what they are attacking. The reason for baiting the sharks around the cages is so that the divers inside with cameras can get good footage of the creatures. Well, the diver in this instance probably got more than he bargained for when the shark decided that it wanted to get inside of the cage with him. At the beginning of the video, you can see the shark going after the bait very aggressively. Everything looks fine except for when the shark runs into the side of the cage where it begins thrashing viciously. Since these cages are made out of metal, no one on the boat probably thought that the guy inside was in any danger. That was until it appeared that the shark actually went through the side of the cage. In the video, the cage starts to move violently around with the shark inside of it. The operator of the boat or the tour guide, clearly distressed, runs towards the cage to try to open the top of the cage door. It's clear at this point that the shark is actually inside of the cage and trying to escape. The people on the boat realize that there's a diver who's inside of this cage with the shark. The shark suddenly appears at the top of the cage as it's trying to escape with blood coming from its gills, possibly from damage from entering the side of the cage just moments before. The shark finally jumps out of the cage, and the people are left wondering where the diver is. Everyone's probably standing around in horror when one of the people asks, "Is there anyone in there?" It goes without saying that everyone was probably standing around in shock, wondering if the diver was safe. At this point, the tour guide or boat operator starts to panic when everyone realizes that there is no one in the cage, surprisingly. And just a few moments later, the diver surfaces to the top of the cage with his camera, signaling with his right hand that he's okay, with probable sighs of relief. Everyone on the boat starts to clap and cheer. Amazingly enough, the diver was completely unscathed by the event except for probably a little emotional trauma. Number 7. Monster shark stalking divers. It goes without saying that the great white sharks are probably one of the most incredible animals on the planet. They're also considered the ocean's top predators and are one of the largest species of all sharks. If Megalodon had a cousin or ancestor, the great white shark would be it. The biggest great white shark ever caught was in Australia back in the 1870s, with records stating that the monster shark was almost 40 feet long. That sounds like a megalodon right there. In March of 2018, some terrifying photos of a 20-foot-long great white shark surfaced on the internet, and the divers involved in the event probably said to themselves, "We're going to need a bigger cage." The shark was seen swimming around and dwarfing a small research cage filled with divers who were filming just in case they had a close encounter with a great white, and in this case they ended up getting lucky. The divers described the experience as both awe-inspiring and nerve-wracking, as the sheer size of the shark made the cage feel incredibly small. One of the divers mentioned that the shark's eyes, often referred to as black doll eyes, seemed to be studying them with a calm but intense curiosity. The shark's movements were slow and deliberate, almost as if it was aware of its dominance in the water. At one point, the shark brushed against the cage, causing it to sway slightly, which sent a wave of adrenaline through the divers inside. The team noted that the shark's scars and markings told a story of its life in the wild, likely from battles with other predators or prey. The encounter lasted for nearly 15 minutes, with the shark occasionally disappearing into the depths before reappearing suddenly, adding to the tension. The divers were amazed at how effortlessly the shark moved, its massive tail propelling it forward with minimal effort. This encounter was later described as one of the most memorable moments of their careers, highlighting the majesty and power of these apex predators. The giant shark was carefully and patiently observing the divers inside of the cage as it swam through a school of shimmering mackerel. These photos were taken by one of the divers in another cage for a shark identification project off the Guadalupe Islands in Mexico by water safety specialist John Meyer. The great white shark seemed to be stalking the divers who were in the cage and was estimated to weigh at least 2 tons. The shark is said to be one of the biggest great white sharks ever seen and was as wide as a VW camper van. According to John, the shark was indeed identified as a female great white. The shark swam up slowly from the depths of the ocean and introduced herself to the divers, and then she moved away slowly with very little effort, seemingly gliding more than swimming. The shark ended up circling the cage a few times and then swam away as it became uninterested in the humans inside. Number 6. Scuba diver attacked by a shark. Sharks are probably the biggest thing that scuba divers have to worry about when they're diving or fishing, and when it comes to sharks, the great white is probably the most dangerous next to the bull shark. That is because this shark simply has more aggressive behavior than the other sharks and will attack just about anything it sees as being food. The other thing that makes this shark so dangerous is the fact that it can survive in any kind of water, salt or fresh. And with that said, it can be found in just about any body of water everywhere. You wouldn't expect to find one of these sharks? Check your tub. A bull shark also has a really strong bite and is one of the top 3 sharks likely to attack a human, with the great white and the tiger shark being the other 2. This shark has a fitting nickname, the pit bull of the sea, and in just a second you'll see why. Bull sharks are also known for their territorial nature, which makes them more likely to attack if they feel threatened or provoked. In fact, many experts believe that bull sharks are responsible for more nearshore attacks on humans than any other species of shark. Their ability to swim up rivers and into freshwater systems has led to encounters in unexpected places, such as the Mississippi River and even inland lakes. This adaptability makes them one of the most feared sharks among divers and fishermen alike. The bull shark's bite force is among the strongest of any shark species, capable of crushing bone and tearing through tough prey with ease. Divers are often advised to avoid murky waters, where bull sharks are more likely to hunt and where visibility is low, increasing the chances of an accidental encounter. Despite their fearsome reputation, bull sharks are an important part of the marine ecosystem, helping to maintain balance by preying on weaker or injured fish. However, their aggressive behavior and proximity to human activity make them a constant source of concern for those venturing into their territory. A diver decided he would do a little spear fishing in Australia off the North Queensland coast, but this time the hunter would turn out to be the hunted. In the video, the diver goes in for a deep dive and gets about halfway down when he spots a shark on the edge of the channel deep in the water. The diver said the shark didn't worry him, but then the shark sees the diver and turns and starts swimming towards the diver at full charge. The diver thinks that the shark won't attack him and was just going to poke him with the spear gun a little to show he's not food, but the shark doesn't care and viciously bites the end of the spear gun. The diver lunged forward with the gun a little bit, but it appears the gun goes off and impales the shark. The diver couldn't tell if the shark was incapacitated at this point and let go of the gun to get out of the water. It did appear as though the bull shark was in trouble with the spear gun stuck to the inside of its mouth as it was writhing around, and the shark began sinking. However, the diver decided to keep swimming away and thought that the shark would spit out the spear gun, not knowing at the time the shark was impaled. Now it's time for today's topic. In the treacherous waters off the Great Australian Bight, what began as a routine shark documentation expedition turned into an encounter that has shaken the foundations of marine biology. A team of researchers from the Australian Marine Conservation Society, led by Dr. James Cooper, captured footage of what appears to be an unprecedented species of deep-sea shark at depths exceeding 3,000 feet. The creature, estimated to be nearly 35 feet long, dwarfing even the largest known great white sharks, exhibited several bizarre characteristics. Its most striking feature was a series of bioluminescent patterns along its flanks and an eerily translucent head that seemed to emit a faint blue glow. The shark's jaw structure, captured in haunting detail by underwater cameras, showed 3 rows of serrated teeth unlike any known shark species. Most disturbingly, the team's sonar equipment detected unusual sound patterns, suggesting sophisticated communication between multiple specimens in the area. Analysis of water samples revealed high concentrations of an unknown organic compound, possibly secreted by these creatures. The discovery has prompted authorities to temporarily suspend all deep-sea research operations in the region, as multiple vessels report increasingly frequent encounters with massive shadows lurking just beyond their sonar range. Number 5. Megalodon or largest great white. Many scientists have said that the Megalodon was much like a great white shark, except that it was much bigger and much more powerful. It's presumed that the Megalodon is now an extinct prehistoric shark, and some of them probably grew to be at least 60 feet or 20 meters long. But with so much of the seas and oceans unexplored, scientists can't really say that this is an accurate statement. There have been many great white shark sightings, and some of these creatures have been giants. If you needed an example of a giant Megalodon or great white shark, then a massive shark that was seen near Mexico's Guadalupe Island would be the perfect one. While cave diving looking for great white sharks near the island, a massive great white shark suddenly appeared out of the murky blue water, and when we say massive, we're not kidding. The shark was more than 20 feet or 7 meters long, and it was estimated to weigh at least 1 or 2 tons. The incredibly massive shark was nicknamed Deep Blue for the way that it suddenly appeared out of the deep blue depths of the water. The shark was estimated to be around 50 years old and believed to be one of the largest great white sharks that have ever been seen in modern times. Interestingly enough, there are claims that this shark has been seen before. In the video, you can see the shark coming up near the cage and then opening its mouth as though it wants to take a bite out of the juicy human that's inside. However, the shark was so big that it would do more than just take a bite out of the human in the cage. It might actually swallow them whole along with the cage. In the shark kingdom, female great whites are much larger than the male great white, and there was speculation that because this shark was so big, it may actually have been pregnant. As the shark swims towards the cage, it doesn't appear to be very aggressive but more curious. So what's going on? However, for the man inside of the cage, it must have been kind of a frightening experience, at least a little bit, when first seeing it come through the deep blue murky water. Could this massive great white shark be an ancestor or cousin of the Megalodon? The shark was tagged, and it's not known if the shark has been seen again since. But if Deep Blue does decide to show herself to more diverse, you're likely to end up seeing it here on Thought Trail. Number 4. Sharks running into divers. Believe it or not, sharks really aren't interested in humans, and many of the attacks you hear about involve surfers who look like seals swimming on the surface of the water. If a shark could tell the difference between a human and a seal, it would go after the seal. It was once thought that great white sharks have poor eyesight, but it was recently found that they have excellent eyesight but roll their eyeballs back into the eye sockets to prevent injury. It's a good time to mention that, for some reason of which we tried to understand and do a little research, most wetsuits are completely black, which is coincidentally the same color as seals. This is probably why many divers are attacked, such as the man in the video you're about to see. These two divers, who are father and son, are part of a salvage team and were exploring the ocean floor in South Africa when they got a surprise visit from a great white shark. In the short 4-second clip, the shark suddenly appears out of nowhere behind one of the divers and then bares its teeth for a moment, looking as if it was going to attack, and almost bites the head off the diver. The diver perhaps felt the tip of the shark's mouth bump him in the head and then quickly ducks as the shark swims past him. Some experts believe that the shark had realized in that instant that the pair were not prey and left without any interest. And in another video, divers in the same South African waters swimming off the coast of Durban looked as though they might become part of a shark attack. In the footage, one of the divers is trying to avoid a blacktip shark, which looks as though it's going to attack him, while one of the other divers is filming the group of sharks. The diver then makes a movement with his hands that creates some bubbles which distract the shark for a moment, but the shark then turns around to get back to the diver, or so it looks like, and instead charges and collides with the other diver who was filming head-on. The shark ended up hitting the diver right in the face, which knocked off his mask and pulled the regulator from his mouth. The divers say the shark was startled and was trying to get away. Believe it or not, no one was hurt in these two incidents, which is surprising. Number 3. Monster shark in South Australia. Australia is known for having a lot of different dangerous creatures, and when it comes to great white sharks, you can be sure that you'll find them there as well. In January of 2018, a father and son team who were out fishing had a close encounter with a giant great white. The massive great white was filmed circling the boat off the coast of Semaphore, South Australia. The person who filmed the footage, Matt Robertson, claimed that the great white had to be at least 6 meters long, which was bigger than the boat that they were fishing from. The shark's sheer size and presence left the father and son in awe, but also on edge, as they realized how vulnerable they were in their small boat. At one point, the shark swam so close to the boat that its dorsal fins scraped along the side, creating an eerie sound that sent chills through the fishermen. The father joked nervously that the shark seemed more interested in their boat than the fish they were trying to catch. The shark's behavior was calm but deliberate, as it circled the boat multiple times, occasionally dipping below the surface and reappearing on the other side. The duo decided to pull in their fishing lines, fearing that the bait might attract the shark even more. As the shark lingered, they noticed its scars and jagged teeth, a reminder of its role as an apex predator in the ocean. The encounter lasted for nearly 20 minutes, with the shark occasionally bumping the boat, testing its surroundings. Matt later described the experience as both thrilling and terrifying, noting that it gave him a newfound respect for the power and majesty of great white sharks. Experts who reviewed the footage suggested that the shark's behavior was likely curiosity rather than aggression, as great whites are known to investigate unfamiliar objects in their territory. The footage then continues to show the great white circling the boat. The giant great white shark disappears from view, and then they realize that suddenly it's underneath the boat as it grabs onto the nets. Of course, this isn't the only time that great white sharks have been stalking boats in the same area. A week before this happened, a 5-meter-long great white shark was caught on video by a nervous family after it began circling their fishing boat. Fortunately, as no one ended up going in the water, everyone was safe. Number 2. Oxygen tank failure. The seas and oceans are treacherous places, and divers need good equipment as their lives depend on it. If that equipment fails and you're on your own, your chances of survival are suddenly cut in half. This is the story of two friends, Nick Burke and Matt Henderson, who were out on a 30-minute fishing dive off the coast of Hillary's Boat Harbor in Perth, Western Australia. The two friends were about to finish up the dive when they realized they were in deep trouble, literally. At 100 feet underwater, Matt's gear suddenly failed, and he had lost his oxygen mask from an oxygen tank that had failed. It might not seem like 100 feet underwater is very much, but when you watch the video, you realize just how deep the two are. The situation became even more dire when Matt began to panic, which is one of the most dangerous reactions a diver can have in an emergency. Panic can lead to rapid breathing, which depletes oxygen faster and increases the risk of drowning. Nick later said that he could see the fear in Matt's eyes as he struggled to stay calm. The visibility underwater was poor, adding to the tension as Nick tried to guide Matt towards safety. The two had to communicate using hand signals, as speaking was impossible, and Nick had to act quickly to prevent Matt from ascending too fast. At one point, Matt accidentally dropped his weight belt, which caused him to rise too quickly, forcing Nick to grab hold of him to slow their ascent. The teamwork and quick thinking displayed by Nick likely saved Matt's life, as he managed to keep them both moving at a safe pace towards the surface. The ordeal was a stark reminder of how even experienced divers can face life-threatening situations in an instant. Matt suddenly swam towards Nick and then very quickly ripped off his mask, which obviously indicated trouble with the equipment. Nick's instincts took over, and at that moment he pulled out his spare oxygen regulator. But the most dangerous part of the ordeal was not yet over. If you're a diver and you're far below the surface of the water, you have to make your way back to the surface slowly, or you can suffer what's called the bends, which actually can be fatal. This rapid ascent can cause a formation of gas bubbles, mostly nitrogen, in the blood. It can affect any area of the body, including the lungs, the heart, and the brain, and can be potentially deadly. In the scary footage, the two are seen moving to the surface, and at one point, it looks as though Matt has lost consciousness. And for the record, Matt is an Army veteran and had 8 years of diving experience at the time of the accident. When his mask stopped working and he started taking in water, he said that he had started to black out and thought he was going to die. The two divers were rushed to the hospital and ended up spending 5 hours in the emergency room, but they survived one of the scariest diving moments caught on film. Number 1. Whale protects diver. It probably goes without saying that whales are intelligent creatures and perhaps even smarter than man when you consider that their habitat has been nearly destroyed by human pollution and whales have been nearly hunted to extinction. But this story is truly remarkable. A whale biologist was filming a giant humpback whale when something extraordinary occurred. It's speculated that whales have an intuitive nature to protect other animals and other species of animals, including humans. A marine biologist, Nan Hauser, who was 63 years old at the time of this incident, said this was something she believed in. However, this is something that's never been caught on film. As the whale continued to nudge and guide Nan, she noticed how deliberate its movements were, almost as if it was trying to shield her from something. At one point, the whale even used its massive pectoral fin to gently push her away from the deeper waters. Nan later described the experience as both awe-inspiring and terrifying, as she had never seen such protective behavior from a whale before. The team on the boat, watching from above, could see the shark circling below and were shouting warnings to Nan, though she couldn't hear them underwater. The whale's actions became more urgent as the shark drew closer, with the humpback positioning itself between Nan and the predator at all times. Marine experts who reviewed the footage believe this behavior is part of a humpback whale's instinct to protect vulnerable creatures, as they are known to defend seals and other animals from orcas in the wild. Nan also noted that the whale's eyes seemed to be watching her closely, as if it was ensuring her safety. This extraordinary encounter has since sparked discussions about the emotional intelligence and altruistic nature of whales. This video footage shows the gentle giant guiding the diver in a certain direction, and it's not too long that Nan makes it to the surface and then tells her team that there's a shark close by in the water. And this wasn't just any small shark just passing through, but it was a 15-foot tiger shark. As you watch the video, it looks as though the giant humpback whale is just being playful and friendly as it pushes Nan around the water and keeps circling back as though it's curious. But until Nan realized there was actually a shark beneath them circling around, she then realized the whale's behavior was protective. During this time, the whale even glides along with Nan over the top of its fin as it moves through the water. If you notice, the whale does this several times in an effort to hide her from the predator below. And at one point, the whale even pushes Nan to the surface of the water with its head and mouth. She also said that the other whale went to the surface and slapped its tail in the water to frighten away or alert others that danger was present. At first, Nan thought that the shark was another whale who was coming to join in on the fun, but when she saw the way the shark swam, moving its tail left to right instead of up and down like a whale, she realized it was a menacing shark swimming towards her. The video footage also captures the moment when Nan is back safely on the boat, and the whale surfaces to check on her. Which of these shark encounters shocked you the most? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.